Thanks for joining today to this session. I hope that we can go through all the concepts related to data catalog. In general, the experience trying to configure data catalog can be a big challenge. Normally, I will start saying that maybe I will not recommend for IT guys. You need to have several concepts, and we will go through all of that. Again, thanks for joining today to this session. My name is Sebastian Zamorano. I am subject matter expert in several technologies related to Purview. And today I want to share with you my experience with Data Catalog. I will try to explain how you can configure all of this. Nevertheless, it's a big challenge. It's a big challenge when we are part of the IT team, because we will review that several things are needed to define. If you want to, and please, I have a YouTube channel where all these videos are shared. After the presentation, please, if you can take less than 2 minutes to complete the survey. And I have the previous section related to Purview data. If you was not able to view that recorded section, I invite to connect and review. I am adding the links on the chat. Maybe that can be more helpful. And let's go. The agenda for today is talk about Microsoft Purview Data Catalog, setting up the data catalog, organize our information, identify how we can set the data product, glossary, data quality, exploring. There is several things here that needs to be reached, that need to achieve to finally have something to consume through Microsoft Purview Data Catalog. And my idea is try to explain all of that during this session. Let's go. First topic is related to what is Microsoft Purview Data Catalog. Microsoft Purview Data Catalog is thought for structured data. And where we will find data catalog, if we go to Microsoft Purview, and let's go here, purview.microsoft.com. We will find, well, if you are using constantly this kind of a solution, you will see quickly here at the top, data catalog. If not, you can find through solutions or open here, view all solutions. This is our first interface. My recommendation to all of you is try to take this started tutorial. This work as a kind of sandbox that permit to drive to you over all the menus that you can use to start using data catalog. And what have previously did, here you can see my data map configuration. We need to understand that data catalog is a second step after we configure data map. If you're not aware related to data map, I just shared on chat some links. In a previous session, I was talking about Purview data map and how you can configure. I built a GitHub page where you can find all the steps required to accomplish the configuration, at least with common cases like SQL on-prem, SQL online, and a storage blob. And for this section, let me go to data source. I have one SQL database with two database connected, and a blob storage with several information. The first thing, previous to go to Purview Data Catalog, is here on Purview Data Map, we're spending from our past section to understand a little about the scan rule sets. By default, in the previous session, we was using the common Azure SQL and the storage database, and here you can see. And what we can find here, that by default, when we use this default scan rule set, we can find that several sensitive information types are collected. If you don't want to have, as an example, because maybe the Belgium information or Argentina information or Croatia information, you can create your own custom rule set. And when we set the scan, we will use this custom scan rule set to only look for the local PII information or certain kind of financial information. Back to the data source, when we configure the scans, we are able to see, in this case, let me show you. We will see which is the scan rule set that we want to use. If you use the default one, as I mentioned previously, you will get all these sensitive information types that are related to data map and the configuration. But if you need, I need to update let me, one moment, SQL databases, and let me turn on the database. Okay, it is starting, and the other one is, okay, it's starting, and let me see, and this one, is starting as well. I'm using a dev version of the SQL databases that's made to pause the SQL, but let's go. As I mentioned previously, when we was working with Purview Data Map in the previous session, we was reviewing the tables that we want to get, and we was setting the default Azure SQL database rule set. Nevertheless, when we start working with Purview Data Catalog, maybe you want to reduce the number of sensitive information types that you want to capture because you are not concerned to capture information from other regions, other countries, and maybe other information that is not relevant for you. In that case, I create this one only for financial information, and I am using this to get all the data. Something similar happened with the classification. We can create our own classification based on custom sensitive information types that we can create here. On this case, I created my own patterns, my own rule expressions to identify all the different kind of US phone numbers, and I group all of that in this new classification that I will be able to use under Data Catalog. The other thing that is relevant previous to go to Data Catalog is the information protection menu under Microsoft Purview, purview.microsoft.com. We will find information protection. On information protection, we have the capability to see some matches related to Azure. The reports are not the best here in this one, but we are able to see the data scanning summary, the protection coverage, the sensitivity label coverage, and some additional information. And why I am coming here? Because anyone can hear me? Someone is saying that is not hearing. Okay, thanks. Maybe you can connect and reconnect to the session. Okay, let's continue. The first thing is if we want to classify, and coming soon, the option to protect is on preview. I will show you that. We can see here that I created some new sensitivity labels to be used under Data Catalog. Something that is very interesting on this point, and I will share the link for that. When you create the sublabel, let's see, corporate information. The first thing that is new, and if you was not working in the past 2 weeks with sensitivity labels, this is new. This was added only a few weeks ago. Previously was saying files, previously was saying items and several other names, but now this one was added, and other data assets. Nevertheless, for Purview Data Map and Purview Data Catalog, we need to have the first one if we are thinking to start using sensitivity labels to protect. Here is something very important, and we was discussing something about that in the previous session about Purview Data Map. For the moment, right now, it's on preview, but right now, sensitivity labels can be used only to classify the data. Only to classify the data, we can use to classify columns in SQL databases, Oracle databases, and other data sources. But now we have the options, or we will have the option to integrate with blob storage. And here is the data lake storage. Let me share this link with you here on the chat. You need, nevertheless, if you want to start testing that one for blob storage and data lake, you need to enroll first. You need to follow this link that is a forms that permit to enroll your tenant to start using sensitivity labels for classification and protection using Purview Data Map and Data Catalog. In this case, that is not enabled yet on my tenant, but I will explain. The first thing is as same we were using the sensitivity labels to control the access to our files, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, emails. We need to set permissions that we will be used on the data that is connected to data map. Here we will need to, we don't need to do anything, but in the next one, and this is very important, here we can select the sensitive information types that we were looking for the data catalog. But the big deal is this one. Today, in this integration between information protection, Purview data map, and data catalog, not all the sensitive information types are supported yet. In general, the bundles one, all diseases, all full names, all address, and custom ones are not supported yet. You we will see that and I was showing that in Purview data map we can create other custom sensitive information types because today, right now, are not supported yet. If you are aware and if you are using, David, yes, credit cards are supported. Here we can see that is one of the, at least from the built-ins, that is the common one, and all the ones related to bank are supported. Nevertheless, it's very important. If you was working on the past with the sensitive information types, you will know that today Microsoft is offering more than 320 different sensitive information types. But for this one, we have only 223. That means is around the 100 less than the total amount. But the common ones for financial information, identities, and that kind of things, all of them are available to be used. I will select some of them. I have this one for financial information, but this is the same thing. And now I am creating this new label. I don't need to publish this label. This label is for data map and doesn't require to create a policy to publish these labels. Joseph is asking if the custom seed are not showing, we need to create again. I did that previously when I was preparing all of this. Here, I was able to create my own regular expressions to identify. A big deal. We have regular expressions, dictionaries, but this is a difference with the custom sensitive information types that we can find on information protection or data loss prevention. We don't have that Windows proximity and that supporting evidence. Here we have the options to set a real expression to find something like a login, password, identity, or a dictionary. We need to understand that here we are working with schematized data. We are talking about, in general, we know that we can use data map to connect to blob storage, file shares, and other things. But this first configuration was thought to data that is located on databases tables. In that case, normally you don't have a big string. And for that reason, the only options that we have here today are regular expression or dictionary. And then we can add that regular expression or that dictionary to a classification name. That is the classification name that I create previously here, that I call it US phone numbers. And here you can see that the three regular expressions that I created, I joined to this classification. Now, this is something that's coming soon. This is the protection policies. Here we are able to create, these are very similar to the auto labeling policies, but these protection policies are thought for a data map. And in this case, when I select a new protection policy, let's go. I need to select the sensitivity label. And this sensitivity label is the one that have related to the sensitive information types that I am looking for. You can see here, corporate information. Previously, I set a group of sensitive information types. And here, right now, I can only apply over Azure SQL Server or Microsoft Fabric. As I mentioned previously, we can extend this one to blob storage and data lake storage, but for that, you need to enroll your tenant to get that new capabilities. I just pasted on the chat, but I will paste again if you was not able to review. That is the link, and here in the purple zone under the node, you can follow the link to enroll your device. And here we can select the database inclusive. This is very important. We need to press edit to identify which server we want to join. In this case, I am using this one for data map for my test. We will see that we need to enable the policy on enforcement. I will show you that as well. A big deal here, something that is very important to have in mind. Here, I am selecting the database. I am not able, you can see, I am not able to select the specific database. In that case, no matter that the description say Azure SQL database, we will affect with this one to all the databases that are located in that SQL server. Let's go. Then we need to identify who can access to this one. We need to set at least someone to set the permissions in this configuration, a user or a group. It's not something that you can skip. And I will turn it on immediately. And now my policy is set. What happened? Here on my data source, I am still on data map. I am not jumping yet to data catalog. But for this configuration about protection policies, we need to enable the data policy enforcement. If you want to use this capability in the same Purview data map, you need to, after you configure the data source, you need to enable the data policy enforcement. That permits to start testing this new information protection capabilities. I'm sharing again on the chat the survey for the end of this presentation, the YouTube playlist where you can find data map and the rest of recorded sessions, and the GitHub page where I am sharing all the steps that you need to do to configure Purview data map. For that reason, I am going very quick on this one, because in the previous webinar, I was explaining how you can configure all this information. Okay, we have the sensitivity labels. We have the protection policies. We enable the data policy informants to use the protection policy. We review the classifications and classification rules. We review the scan rule set to reduce the number of sensitive information types that we want to collect. And now we can jump to data catalog. And here coming the big deal, because it's very complicated, or at least without have the right knowledge about the data, this configuration data catalog can be a big challenge. Why? I will back quickly to the presentation. We need to identify the data that we will discover, the lineage, classification, data quality, and access management. Some recent enhancement for this one, we have some capabilities for AI. Microsoft is improving the data lineage and the data qualify features. Let me try to, in general, from my experience configuring the data catalog, maybe from an technical perspective, is not what we are looking for. Why I'm saying that? Because if we want to know how many rows, how many records, the size of our information, and other stuff, in the current report, in the current configuration, that is not available. You can reach that data through the API. And here, let me show you some reports that the Synergy team was working. And here we can see total services, total entities, the different sources, how many of that data is classified, and inclusive we can go down through the different databases, structures, the sensitive information types that was identified, or inclusive. Here we can merge the data between information protection, the Microsoft 365, and the Azure part, but we are able to identify sizes, number of records, and several other data. This kind of technical overview is not easy, or is not available yet on the report. I saw data catalog like a kind of orchestrator that permit to identify all the data source that you have in cloud, identify which kind of data that you have, who is accessing, the relation between maybe a fabric and a database and a blob storage. We can create those relation, and we can identify if we have duplicate data, empty fields, or maybe the data in a column is not matching correctly with the information. And with that, we will be able to start having a complete overview about the data sources, but from a data management perspective, not an operational perspective. Someone yesterday, another customer was asking me, can we validate if test is similar to production? In structure, yes. In number of record, at least on the report, no. Through the API, we are able to get that information and create some specific report to say, okay, on production I have 1 million of record, but in dev I have only 1,000. And inclusive, let me share here, to start working, and I will go through all of that, we need to set a governance domain. That governance domain can be related to a functional unit, line of business, data domains, accomplished regulatories, or related to project. And for each type, we will need to define data products, glossary terms, OKRs, critical data, and this is new, custom attributes. In general, what we are viewing here through data catalog, that is a way to organize our information, identify where that information is located. And to start working on this, the first thing is understand that we have different kind of permissions. Here we can see that we have a data governance admin, a governance domain creator, data product owner, and data catalog reader. Something, and for that reason I was saying previously, this is a kind of orchestrator, is because someone can access to this data catalog to see all the data that exists in a domain, in a line of business, in a project, and inclusive, we can create a request for that information, permitting to make a copy of that data. If we are working in different projects and we need to reuse certain kind of information, we want to avoid create several databases related to a same user, to a same kind of data, we can use this tool to identify that and take a copy of that information for a while, for a long time, or we can have a complete copy, or we can request to start using that information. Someone is asking if these are Purview roles, Azure resource, or no. This is a Purview Data Catalog roles. It's another kind of roles that can be configured on the same Purview Data Catalog. I will show you that. Let's go. Let me go to the next slide. When we configure data map and when we use all this configuration, we are able to define those roles. And inclusive, let me go back, and if you want to have more information, I will share my notes that I have here for the speaker notes. Nevertheless, I will share this presentation with all of you after this session. I believe this, and I hope this presentation can help to you to understand these different components that we need to reach and we need to define. Okay, and here we can have some sample scenarios to identify why we need to assign this role, why we need to register the data source, that is the data map, and why we need to start organize our data assets. Let me jump to here. Here you can see all the information. We can go to governance domains. And here I can see the different roles that they have. The governance domain owner, the governance domain readers, data product owner, data steward, data catalog reader, data quality steward, data quality reader. You can see that there is several additional roles that are only available for data catalog and data map. These roles are not related to Azure roles or Microsoft Entra roles or Purview roles. We can say this is a fourth group of different roles that we can reach only for this feature, for these capabilities. Okay, to start talking financial information, this is my governance domain. I was saying that we need, first of all, define a governance domain and go through the different type. Okay, what is, in that case, a governance domain? You can see here, this is a logical boundary that for me to organize my information. I can have a big governance domain for the entire organization, or maybe for the dev team, or maybe if I have different kind of products or different departments that have different information, or maybe I need to split the information between the administrative data from the functional data. I can set this governance domain to start having a complete catalog for my information. If we thought, as an example, on health, you have an administrative information and customers information, patients. Maybe for that scenario, two different governance domains can be created to split completely the information between patients and administrative users that permit to identify who is accessing, who is the owner, and controlling in a more granular way all the information. We need to define, we need to establish the data products, the glossary terms, the same things that I was showing here. For that reason, as I mentioned, and this one is new, I was mentioning that at the beginning, from my perspective, from an IT, from a technical perspective, this is a big challenge because it's not technical configuration. Purview data map is a technical configuration. Purview data map permit to identify data source, special connections, connections to on-prem, different integration runtimes to collect information. We can set the scan rule set to get certain kind of information. But here, we are having a data governance from the perspective of the data, not the IT, not the IT part. We are trying to understand the different data that are part from our structured data, from our databases, from our line of business, from the regulatory part that we need to achieve. In that order of idea, we will need to define the types for each governance domain. If this one is a functional unit, a line of business, data domain, regulatory, project. And here, a sample scenario for a multinational corporate that have the diverse business unit. We can split the information between the different business unit and inclusive to when we talk about multinational worldwide companies, we need to accomplish certain kind of assessment or law or regulations. As an example, the GDPR or the California state new one on US. This governance domain permits us to start establish that. Nevertheless, we are able to use the same data sources in different governance domains. Let's go to that first step. Let's go to that first step. New governance domain. Let's see HR. And here I will say this is a data domain. I can add a parent. This is very important. Under governance domain, I can have set subdomains. If I have maybe a group is using the same HR services, the same structure, we can use the subdomains to split that, or we can create only a main domain, a main governance domain, to start getting the information. When I create the new governance domain, I am able to select all the different permissions. Here you can see I can get any of these, and I can set these permissions to users, groups, or services principal. If you are not aware about the services principal, normally when we have some automate task, we use the service principal to avoid the MFA and permit to connect using certificate, special secret keys that can be stored on Key Vault to ensure that a specific application is getting the data at any time. We can set the different permissions that we need to get, and then we need to define which data sources I will use. You can see, and this is very important to have in mind, that I am only able to take from Purview Data Map the different domain and subdomains. I am not able, at least in this part, at least here at the beginning, to select something different or a specific database or a specific storage account. I am getting all the configuration that I have here. For that same reason, in the previous webinar, we were discussing about the domains that we can create. We can create a domain for on-prem, but that on-prem can be split for dev and production. And something similar happened here. I created a domain. I have my main one, that is the default one. But then I created a new collection called Azure Services. And inside of this collection, I created the SQL databases and the blob storage. But inclusive, in this same collection, I can create another collection to say dev, or a split dev and production. Having this configuration and setting the right data sources on each of these collections we will be able to split in a better way the information that is used by data catalog. Okay, we have another question here. Yes, we can select, Joseph is asking on the chat, if we can select the same collection in two different business domains. Yes, the answer is yes. You can see here that I have this one, and if I go to financial information inclusive, in this case, I get the main collection. But I can start playing with the different. In this case, is the other are in grayed out because I select the main one. But I can select the specific collection and use the same collection on different business domain. Okay, I have my HR and I need to start working here. You can see, and again, sorry to repeat this several times, but here we are not working in anything related to, if you are working daily on IT, here we are not finding anything related to that. Here is how we can catalog our data. That is the big deal, how we can governance our data. And for that reason, the first thing that we need to set is the data product. Let me go to data product. And for all of you that are participating here, I will share some of my speaker notes that I have here with the links from Microsoft that permit to work on this. The first thing to start working with data map is set a data product with a name and description and a type. I will jump quickly to a specific configuration that we have on data catalog to explain a little more this one. But as I mentioned, as an orchestrator, here we can have several of data sources, and that those data sources can be related or linked between them. I can, if you are aware about a common development, you have a front end, you have maybe a service bus, you have a back end, or maybe a specific reporting services to work with Cube. In that case, we can join logical all these components, and for that, the type is very important to set. A chart is still in draft status. Can this governance domain be used at this time? Yes, we can start using as a draft, but some capabilities will not be available until we publish the domain. I will show you that. Let me go here. We need to establish the associate data asset, set the access policies, publish the data product, and here we have a sample scenario that for me to understand a little more this step. Let me go to the scenario. This will be on draft until we publish this one. Some of the configurations will not be able to be used until you publish. Several things can be started settings, glossary terms, OKR, but under the data quality and the report, some of that information will not be able to be used until this one is published. When we publish, the status is on. You can see here, the status is published, and we will see that we are able to find all of that. A chart is appearing, but we don't have data product yet. And here is the big deal that I was trying to explain. We need, on my demo environment, it's very difficult to show this one because I don't have reporting services. I don't have Fabric front end that I can link. Nevertheless, if you have in production environment, several times we can find that some databases are calling information that is located in a folder or in a specific file, or is called by another database. And in that case, here we need to start drawing all the relations between our different databases or our different data sources, all the components, because that will permit to identify if the lineage and store procedure or any special configuration is getting the data and putting in another place without a classification, or maybe merging information from different sources and generating a new information asset, because I am getting the ID of the user from one place, I am getting the display name for that user from another place, I'm getting all the information, and finally I can have my employees view based on different information. Let me go back here. I am trying to go step by step. I believe that we will need to set another session to discuss more in depth here on classic type all the relations to prepare something more interesting as a sample. But let's go. We have a new governance domain that is for HR. I need go to set data product for this one. Remember that we set previously the roles and which data sources are we collecting. Let's go to data product. I need to create a new data product for this governance domain. You can see that it's a data set, master data and reference data, business system application. This is very important for that relation that I was showing here under classic type. For that reason, it's very important to identify very well which kind of data we are getting. And maybe in that case, let me go first. Let's say employees information. Employees information. Select type. Okay, this can be a reference data. Next. And I need to explain what I am, which is the use case for this information, and I will create. And now, after I set all of this, I will set the data assets. Which are the data assets? Now I can start looking from my different data sources that come in for Purview data. Previously, when I set the Purview data map and I set the data sources and I set the classification, the rule set, and the classification policies, the system in the backend was working and start getting all that information that permit me to easily start finding several information from here or directly from the databases or the blob storage. Or I can filter, and I know that I have an Azure SQL table and a plain document that contain my employees' information. I can select this one and I can set this data asset to this specific governance domain, and in this case, the data product that I created call it employees information, and this data asset are related to the employees information. I can add term of use, I can add additional information, and then let's go, coming as I mentioned, every time that we set something, we need to set another thing. And here is, again, my apologies if I'm repeating this one. This is data governance. Maybe this is more for this new concept about the CDO, Chief Data Officer, is more related to that kind of role or office or data officer, data analyst, but is not related to an IT technical profile, an IT technical role, because here to set correctly data catalog, we need to have a complete, deep understanding about the data that we are collecting. Let's continue. This is the data product, and after we set the data product, we need to start using the glossary terms and the business concept. The glossary terms are specific keywords that we can use to identify data, to find information, to collect that information based on the glossary terms. We will see that with the glossary terms, we can start creating those relations between the different terms that exist in the data that we are capturing, we are collecting through data. A sample scenario is we can define the terms like customer, account, or transaction, and we can define this and associate synonyms for this one. We can establish the relation between customer, client, purchasers, account. We can organize that one to identify several information. Here, I believe that start coming the most complex part when we work with data catalog, because we need to understand very well the structure of the data. We need to understand the data model for all the information that we are collecting through data map. Let me go there. Let me go there. Maybe a parenthesis, this can be helpful to understand. When we monitoring, here I jump to data map, we are able to identify all the data that is collected and the scan status. And for each scan status, we can see if that was a full scan or an incremental scan. For each of this one, we can see the history about the activity and total asset discover, asset classify, asset ingest. Here we can have that level of detail. Normally, something that we are working, and that was my first approach when I was thinking on Purview Data Map and Purview Data Catalog. I was thinking in general in this kind of information that was on my head. Okay, how many asset was discovered? How many asset was ingest? How many asset was classified? How many records I have in the different uh, in the different data source that I have. And if I go here and I do the same exercise, here I can see the full scan in the incrementals one, I can see that kind of information that permit me to give some insight. When we jump to data map, and we go to report, okay, something is not working for me today here. Okay, I need to see what is happening, but no worries, no worries. I have another environment here to show. If I go to data catalog and I go to report, let's give a moment. What I want to search here or look or my main achieve or goal in this one is try to explain that we can have certain kind of information, general information, without jump completely to data catalog. There is some reports that are ready to use, and maybe some of you was concerned about that. For that reason, I am jumping here to show that. But we need to understand that data catalog is data governance, not from an IT perspective, is from a data model perspective. We have another the short answer for all of that is no. The AAP on-premise scanner is not supported yet on Datamap. No, it's not supported yet on Data Catalog. I know that the product group is working, but I don't have an ETA for that. They will add on information protection under Data Explorer, that is the new name for Content Explorer, a new workload called on-premise, where that information will be located. Some people what are doing is, and that is something that we can do, is we can connect data map with the SQL on-prem, the SQL that is using the MIP scanner, and then you can start playing with that information on data map and data catalog. But in that case, you are getting only the information that is located on the database, and that it doesn't have a big level of detail as the same information that is sent to the Office 365 Management API. In that case, maybe some of you know me that I'm leading the other project called MPARR, Microsoft Purview Advanced Reach Report. You can look for MPARR. And on MPARR, I built some specific report for the scanner because that is something that is pending from Microsoft side. When is the let me does data map on-prem SM? No, data map for the moment. The only thing that support is I'm going the second question is SQL on-prem. We review on the previous record in the previous webinar about Purview data map. I was showing that today the only connection is with SQL on-prem. We need to install a runtime agent, dedicated server for that, and we can reach the server. I don't have the roadmap ID. I can try to find that. I know because I was working previously on Microsoft for several years and discussing with the product team, they told me that they will be enable the on-prem on Data Explorer, but I don't have the data. That is something that we can find and try to share later. If you're following me on LinkedIn, maybe, or YouTube, I can share that kind of the data over there. Well, let me show very quick here. This is another tenant. It's not the main. Something was happening in all the configuration that I was doing and was showing me an error to reach the report. But nevertheless, this is the same. Here, and this is only because I'm doing a parenthesis, we are discussing a lot about technical concepts related to data governance and data model. In that order of idea, I don't want to make to you sad because you are not viewing anything yet. And for that reason, I want to explain that at least if you configure a Purview data map and you set the data source, there is some quick report that you can start getting. This one here under health management, we can find, and we can see the total asset, how many of that data was classified, which is new, updated, outdated. And here inclusive, we can see by count, by size, or we can view the details. And here I can see total asset for blob storage, for SQL databases, and more. If I go back to here to the report, I can see other informations related to what is happening with the search, what is changing constantly, the total search related to this, the active users consuming this information. I can see the constant activities related to the information that I'm collecting. I can see the data classification. If I'm using on this environment, I don't have a data classification set, but we can see that data classification. We can see sensitivity labels. If we are using sensitivity labels, we will see here that data without do any additional step. This is very important. There is several reports that we can start consuming without configure anything. Nevertheless, we need to start if we want to have a more detailed report from a data model perspective, we need to start creating the governance domain. Let me go back here. We need to define the governance domain, the type of that governance domain. And then for each of them, we need to identify the data product and the data asset. We just do that. We have pending to go through the glossary terms, OKRs, and define the critical data. But please, if you're using Purview Data Map, you will be able to come in here without start with the data catalog and getting some general information. Inclusive, another tip. If you go to data assets, and you press asterisk, you will jump quickly to this specific uh, kind of asset explorer, to call it in some way, where we can identify all the information. We can identify the data source type. We can the collection. If we are working with classification, with contact, here there is a lot of things that we can start getting from our Purview data map when we set the data source and we start scanning without configure anything related yet to data catalog as is. Talking again from governance domain and the rest of data that we need to get. And for any of these one, we can select and we can see several information. We will work in that one right now, working with a glossary, but this is very important. And again, configure data catalog is something that take a lot of time because inclusive for each data source, we can set the contact. If we have a database, if we have a specific SQL, we can have some specific contact. But for the specific database inside of that SQL server, we can have different contacts. In this data catalog, some additional information that we need to complete is the contacts related to each data asset of each data source. Who is the owner? Who are the experts? Because as a kind of orchestrator, as I mentioned previously, we can use the data catalog to identify certain kind of information that we need to use. As an example, if you are working development a new solution that need your employees information, I can come in here. I can instead of I can look for employees. Well, in this case, I don't have information about employees here in this one, but having the glossary terms. Let me jump to the right one. Having the right glossary terms, data product, and several other configuration, we will be able to find information, open this one, see the schema of this information, and I am able to request a copy of this information or access to this information. Because in my new development that I am working on, I need the employees, but I don't want to create a new table. I don't want to start getting all the information from scratch. I can reuse. This is a kind of library that permit me to identify if that information is available and can use it. And for that reason, contact is very important for that. And inclusive, I can see here on the history for any request access. I can request that access. We will review that. We can set for how many times we can request that information, if we can create a query, a copy of that information or more. Okay, where do we define OKRs? Yeah, let me go to there. Can we implement alerting on some figures? Alert is a very big concept in this case, but we will be able to see that under when we define data quality, on data quality, we can create some rules to identify if we have duplicate data, if that data match with certain information. There is several kind of configurations that can be set for data quality. And in that case, I can assume, or maybe you can extend a little more in your question, but with data quality, that permits us to see if our information is correctly is right in general, doesn't have empty fields or duplicate fields or field that doesn't match with the sensitive information type that we are looking for. Yeah, that can we implement alerting on some? There is something related to the OKR, and let me go there. We was working on the governance domain. We was going here. We need to set the glossary terms. I don't save the glossary terms. Give me a moment. Employee. Let me create this one very quickly. Acronymous accounts. Account users. Okay, now let's add resource. I have my glossary terms. We was reviewing that we need to start setting more words that are related, synonyms, related other data that is related to this one. The data products that are related to employees' information. We can set the critical data elements, but that is new. But we are all okay. Glossary terms, employees, governance domain. Here, coming the OKRs. And if my memory doesn't fall, let me go to there. This is the data quality measure that permit to start discussing about those topics. But let me go here. Let me gonna here. Sorry. This is related to the OKRs and the glossary terms and all of that. Let's go. New OKRs. This is another challenge. Define the OKRs is a very big challenge. And the first thing that when we want to set the OKR, we need to set the target date. I will say December 27. The objective. Identify all the employees information. Create. Here, we need to set the key result. We need to set if we are on track, behind, at risk. We can set initially the progress amount. Something that I have pending here is automate the OKR's configuration. Right now, here we need to link the data. right now, at least on my research, the only way that I found is changing this manually, but I was reviewing there is some ways to automate this one. That will be pending for another webinar, for another session, how we can automate this information, how we can get through an API to start merging the data between Microsoft 365 environment and all the data that we have here on 365 on Azure. And here I can show that I have my key result, I have the data product, and I have my first OKR. I need to double check again if we are able to automate this way to calculate the overall progress, at least in this initial configuration, is all manually that needs to be set. I have the most important element, and having this one, let's see, the manage policies. The manage policies are related to who can approve the access to this information, and if we can permit data copies of this information. I am saving, and now I can publish the data to in the data catalog. I can publish this new governance domain. Now, if I go here to data product, I see that I have my governance domain related to financial information, HR, and based on the glossary terms, I can look for user, or account, which one I use. Okay, it's still loading up here. And with this information, I can start searching for more data. Let's, why is saying that it's not export data product by governance domain at business content. Okay, let's go. Okay, you're asking if we can use, you can name it the sensitive information types, like I want to not pass 50 credit card numbers on my data because I want to be PCI compliance. I was playing with that. You can set as an OKR. Nevertheless, again, there is a part that I was trying to define to easily automate that, and that at least is not easy to find. It's not easy to find if this one have some, if the data catalog have some automate to get that information. I don't find it right now. And in that order of idea, you can set, but only manually. When I was talking about make a copy, here on data product, let me go back to, because I was going quick. On data product, I can see that I have this employees information. Remember, please remember, here in governance domain, I define some data product. That data product was related to some specific word. Those specific words was related to some specific data sources. And now I need to Finish to review this one previous to publish and have access to the data. In this case, I have the details, I have the data asset, I have the glossary terms. For that reason, was not working my search by account. Someone was asking previously what happened if I don't publish yet. If I don't publish yet and I use the governance domain with the data products, all of that on draft, some capabilities, as I mentioned at the beginning, are not able to be used over those governance domains. In this case, I use the employees. These glossary terms have this one account and the user terms, acronyms. And if all of this is okay, I can set the terms of use, I can add additional documentation, I can set different other data, and having all of this, and here I have the OKRs, who is the contact, I can publish this one. To publish, I need to set the policies. What mean publish? When we publish this information can be tracked. You can search for this information. You can request. What mean request? Here we can see the preview request form, and if someone needs to access to certain information, I was saying we are developing a new solution, and I don't want to create the employees database from scratch. I want to get that information. I can come in here to data catalog. I can search for all my data sources, which SQL or blob storage files located in somewhere contain the employees information. I can look for that with this keyword, with this specific glossary terms, synonyms, and identify the data. I can come in here and I can request access. Here, I am only preview the request form. And why I'm viewing the request form? Because here on the purpose, I can define other options. And here, as I mentioned moments ago, I can define for how many times I can access this data. I can give to you a couple of hours to review this information and see if this one works for you or not, or I can give you more time, or I can permit to you to make a copy of this information. Let's see. I have the permit access. I'm adding a new purpose. I will set this one require manage approval and privacy and compliance review required. I can set another request approvals. And if I have some access provider, I can give some additional information. If I review the forms, now I can see here that in the purpose, I have development, and I can save the change. Having this one, finally, I can publish this information. Having this information, let's see if I can use user. Okay, that is not something that I was looking for errors. But here we can see where accounts are available. In this case, I was working with other capabilities in the other governance domain. I can see more data, and I can see several information that is available. I can see by sensitive information type. I can see by sensitivity label. In this case, only these two files was located with datos financieros. That is something that I built previously that I upload to upload storage with IBAN information, and that's the same one. But here we can see the classification. We can see the specific location for that file. We can see the properties for this one. If we have that this is a lineage only for databases, I can see who is the owner, who is the expert. I can see if someone was requesting the information and other related information to this one. And any time that someone was getting this information, I am able to see the history about this one. And I can share the data with other people. Okay, say you cannot publish a data product until a reviewer is selected. No, the period time that I set is for the one that is requesting the data. There is some specific approval that can be set. I'm reading the question. The reviewer has set a period of time to review that product. I'm not totally clear with can reviewer the denied data product. You define who are the approvers to give access to the data product, and that is the big deal. If you have only reviewer permissions, you cannot make changes. The data coming from the data sources, and from here we are managing only the data model, but we are not managing the sources. Azure tags for the resource can be shown. That is something that I need to test. On my case, I was not using. I know the Azure tags, but on my environment, I was not using. And at least on my case, uh, I don't remember. I don't remember to see the capability to get the Azure tags that come in when you create the SQL database or when you create the blob storage. I am assuming that the question is going for that site. I don't remember to sit to see that capability to get because when you set the data source, you are going to the specific data that is located inside, but is not getting, at least not on the scan, not on the data source configuration, is not getting in any part that tag that coming from Azure. Yeah, David, I know that, but well, Zach was asking, and David was answering. I don't see the option to get that specific tag. Here you have other tags that you can set, but these tags are not related to the one that coming from Asia. Here I can see the request of the data. I believe that I was doing something on, and let me see if I can go to report. No, why profile not found? Something I made a little something I make a little problem here, and something is not working properly. Employees, data catalog, Here is now related to the alert and the data quality. We were discussing that previously when someone was asking about alert. Let me go here again. I am going to data quality. on data quality, I can see only the information that coming from the governance domain. On the governance domain, we can see only the data product name. No matter, remember when I set the governance domain, I connect several data sources, but after that, I create the data product that I call it employees, and I added only two specific sources, and a specific table in a specific database, and a file. Now, if I want to manage the data quality for this, sorry, I need to go here, 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 and I will press here over employees data asset. And here I can set the rules to identify this kind of assurance to talk about data quality. If I am able to find duplicate rows, empty or blank fields, unique values, data type match, a string format match, table lookup, or I can create this custom. If I am managing information, I don't know, about customers, maybe I need to validate that some specific fields cannot be empty, or some information cannot be duplicate, or validate that I have only unique values. For all of these, I can create rules for the different data, and based on that, I will be able to set this data quality for all the information that I'm collecting. Let me continue with the presentation. We are almost on time. Here we are talking about the data quality measures that we was discussing. The other big deal is the data lineage. This is something that we need to first set on the Purview map and the Purview data map. Here you can see, let me go there. Let me go here. Data sources. View details. We were talking about data policy enforcement, but when we set the scans, I will edit the scan. In the previous section, we were not setting this one, but to set this option, this is on preview, for that reason we skip as well, but this permit to identify relations between the different databases. If you have some store procedures that are getting some data and generating some views, and several other things can be set in this one. But to set the lineage, you need, instead of give database data reader, that is the previous configuration, we need to use database owner. That is on the public documentation as well on GitHub. I have those configurations and you can review there. But that is important to go forward on the lineage configuration. Let me go back to the presentation. As I mentioned, this permits to identify the data ingestion. If we are getting the data from different sources, we are able to review that kind of information. What's happened with the data transformation and what's happened with the data consumption. We can implement some access controls. And here, yes, we have some specific roles related to Azure, roles related to Purview that permit to control certain kind of access. I will share here another speaker notes that I was building on the chat that will give to you several links to have information about how we can access control and make some security measures to access to the data. And why? Because we need to take care about who is accessing to what, who is requesting the data, who is using, who is trying to use, who was requesting previously, and more. And then this is the very similar to the report that we was viewing at the beginning, and I will share other links here that can be helpful for you. We can get the data quality, health management, all the data that and the report that we were reviewing here under report. All the capabilities that we were able to use. But again, I need to know why it's giving me that 404. Nevertheless, as I mentioned, I have here some reports that we can review, and who is requesting the data, who is accessing. Here we can see the asset, how many of that have classification or doesn't have classification, or out of date, it's new, it's updated. In general, there is some specific report that can be helpful, but I was explaining at the beginning, here we are talking about data governance from a perspective of data model. Here, and that is a kind of paradigm, because that is a personal confidence. When I start with Purview Data Map, I was assuming that the information that I will read through Data Catalog will be similar to this one. But the information that we are viewing, through Data Catalog have another perspective, another complete perspective, and is related to the kind of the quality of the data that they have, how many times that information is replicated in different databases, and more. And if we want to get something like this one, we can use the APIs for that kind of information. Okay, something that's okay. Thanks of your link today. That Okay, thanks for sharing that. Oh yeah, yeah. Because I put the all in parentheses, but the parentheses was take. Okay, thanks for to share that, Zach. No, this is not a Microsoft dashboard on Synergy where I'm working right now. We built several report for Purview, and we have some specific report related to Purview data map. And because we have a report for information protection, we are able to merge both uh, informations in one uh, unique overview for all your data. If you can reach us as well, you can find for Synergy advisors through LinkedIn, or let me see if I have the link here and I can share if you want to learn more about Synergy advisors. Let me see. Okay, this is the link. Okay, can you share how you set up Power BI to see the Purview data map? As I mentioned, yes, this to show this report exists a couple of APIs that you can use. One is called Atlas, and that is one of the common one that you can use to start getting that information. Here I have some links, but let me share this one. Getting the data from the APIs permitted to you to send the information to a SQL database or logs analytics. On my case, I have several experience with logs analytics because, as I mentioned previously, I built this solution. I shared this solution with you. This is to get some report related to Microsoft 365 Purview. But the idea is very similar, is get through the API the data, put in some place, and then start building the report. Only a parenthesis, someone was asking about the scanner. And as an example, through MPARR, let me go there, you are able to find a specific report. I am opening the report. I will share the survey and some other links. Please, if you can take less than 2 minutes to complete the survey, that will be very helpful for me. And here is the report for the MIP scanner. This one is available through MPARR that permit to see what is happening with your on-prem scanner. This one get the data from the Office 365 Management API, send the data to Logs Analytics, and from Logs Analytics, we are able to create this kind of report that permit me, I don't know, as an example, I want to see the sensitivity level supply over which extensions. I want to see the PDF that was applied. And here I can see the path, the file name, the scanner that was working, because on my environment, I have a big environment with several scanners, and the label that was applied by that one. And I can start playing with several other filters that are available. And I believe that we are over the time. I really appreciate to all of you that connected to today. Uh, Not yet. Renan is asking if we are able to collect that. It's something that they have on mine because it's another API. I can get activities related to what are you doing on Purview to create rules, but to get the data that request accessing to other information and build those report. Nevertheless, I extend the invite to review Synergy Advisors. We have some tools that can be very helpful related to reports that are ready to use, some configurations that are set in your own environment, and that permit to have control and access to all the information. Much appreciated for all of you that accessing to today. I will share the recorded session soon. You can join to my YouTube channel. You can subscribe. You will be able there, and I will share the link to download this presentation in the comment in that recorded session on YouTube. Okay, thanks a lot for your participation today. Much appreciated to have to you, and please, you can follow me and you can continue participating on this webinar. Have a great rest of the week and best weekend. Have a good one.